We need to talk.
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 Welcome back to Wntt TV. I'm your host, MR.KOA, alongside
Top Boy.
And we are back after a little break. We had a lot of things happen in the last, I guess, couple weeks now it's been.
Yeah.
Some traveling, some reflection, some jobs, opportunities, and as recently, an event on mental health that Zamora and his friends put together, which I was part of. I helped, include one of my own videos in it. But just to be in that space with a lot of Black individuals, Black men especially, that don't speak about their feelings, don't speak about their emotions, don't speak about anything other than the negative stuff that comes behind being a Black male in terms of, the crime and our anger and our aggression, all that stuff that is pushed very often through us, but we don't really have the opportunity or the spaces to express ourselves as humans, which sounds crazy to say, but that's kind of what we've been, bred and conditioned to be. So Zamora had an event on Monday called Elevate, and I guess you can kind of talk about that the best.
Yeah. I've been planning the event for a couple months, and basically, like Ryan said, it was called Elevate, and the whole theory behind it was to create a space where people in the Black community could talk about what mental health looks like to them, but then we had a specific focus on Black men, right? Just because there's a narrative about how Black men are supposed to operate in society. We don't really talk about our feelings, like all these types of stereotypes and beliefs. So what I did was I commissioned a bunch of artists to basically create pieces of work that show what mental health looked like to them, which was great. We had a lot of artists bring up photography and photos and paintings. We had a couple of videos. Ryan's one dealt with Larry Sanders, former NBA athlete, and he was talking specifically about his brand, but then also what it's like dealing with your mental health after you're no longer an athlete, right? Or no longer playing in the professional leagues, I should say, which is something that I feel like a lot of us can relate to. I've never played at a professional level, but anyone who's played sports at a competitive level for a long time, it's
an identity crisis.
Yeah,
once you lose it, yeah.
It's definitely an identity crisis. Like I tried explaining it to people in layman's terms during the show, but like we all played football. Like you and I both play football, and it's like I love that sport. I love playing it more so than I do watching it. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if you're not pursuing it at a higher level, that's
where
it.
do you play?
That's it.
Yeah.
Like you can't play anywhere else. Sure, you can play flag football, but
it's not the same.
It's not the same, right? Scratches an itch, but it doesn't do the full thing. So we tackled a lot of topics. Overall, I was really, really happy with the event because I was nervous going into it. It was my first time throwing a big event like this.
So question about that. What were you nervous about in particular?
So I was...
Like I felt the same thing when I had my first event.
Your one, right?
But it's like, what is your nervousness? Like I had my own reasons, but what is your, like, you're throwing an event around something that you believe in, around something you're dealing with, and other people and friends are dealing with. Everyone's on board with it. People are excited about it. You see the ticket sales, you see the response, the comments, whatever.
Yeah.
What is your nervousness still at that point?
My nervousness was, okay, I hope to God people actually like and take something away from this event. Because I knew people were first of all, I knew people were gonna show up. I just didn't expect that many people to show up. And I'm sure, as you know, based on your event, there's always last minute ticket sales, right? So we were selling tickets at the door, but we live in a technology era, so people were just buying tickets through the app. And the day before, I think we had like 90 tickets sold. And then the day of, 140 people showed up. So I was like, okay, this is nuts. And then seeing everyone there, you're just like, what was making me nervous, I was like, yo, do I have enough going on right now to keep people's attention? Because there was time between when the gallery opened to when the panel happened and the videos and all that. But the videos were great. I think that captivated people, and it just kind of snowballed into everything else. But I think I'm always just nervous about, I'm like, are people gonna feel like they wasted their time and money? You know, because remember what you said, we've done live events before,
Yeah.
and you and I have sat in the back of like an event or a live podcast and just looked at each other and said, yo, people actually spend money to come here.
So do you feel like it's like a sense of guilt almost? Like you feel, not guilt in a negative way, but guilt like, do you deserve this, or do I have enough?
That's where the
do you guys like? Do I really deserve to be doing this shit?
That's where the nervousness comes from, because I'm like, yo, like they actually took money out of their bank account pockets and they're giving it to me, right? So it's like I have an obligation to provide them with something that they enjoy, right?
Worth it in their mind.
In their mind. So it's like when I think about, okay, so your event, right, that you did, it's like, okay, you put this event on and it's like, all right, I know when I'm going there, I know that, because I'm tight with you, right? It's different. Like I know what I'm gonna expect. But I'm trying to picture if I'm, you know, I don't really know Ryan, I don't know these people. I'm gonna show up to this event and I expect to meet some cool people that I can have conversations with, right? And if you don't know, you promoted it very well, but it's like if you didn't know, it's like, oh, I'm gonna get like food and like I'm gonna get all these things, right? Because Brittany's catering is gonna be sick. So all these things are like, oh, okay, I leave with something nice, I leave with good conversation, I leave with good vibes, I leave with like the art if I buy it, like all this stuff. And it was the same thing with this. It was like, okay, first of all, the event started at 6, and straight up, I'm like, look,
no one's pulling up.
I'm like, no one's pulling up.
I mean, I pull up at 6.
Yeah, you pull up at 6. So I'm like, no one's pulling up at 6.
Yeah.
People pulled up at 6, bro, and I had to tell people like, yo, give us like 15 more minutes. They had to set some things up, and I'm like, yo, this is wild. And then by 7 o'clock, there was like a good amount of people in there, and then by 7:30, it was like pretty, like all the chairs were gone, like you couldn't sit down anywhere, and I was like, wow, okay. So it just, my nerves went away about an hour in, because at the end of the day, I just wanted to provide people with a good experience. And, you know, I had people asking me after the show, they're like, how do you feel? And I'm like, I feel good, but I would always rebuttal with, what did you think? Right? Because
like some feedback.
Because I need some feedback. It's not like my work, my personal work that I put on, my content that I create, or stuff that I do for clients. It's different. Like you came to something that you paid money for. So it's like I need to know what went well, what went wrong. So it's like I can fix it. Like I can do better.
What was tangible that you took?
Yeah,
like what did you take?
That's what I need to know.
It wasn't physical, but what?
You know, so it was good.
Yeah, no, it was a great. Honestly, it was a great event.
And then hearing people like afterwards say like you should do more events like this, or figure out how to do it maybe on a more micro or bigger scale. I was like, cool. Like that's something to think about.
I definitely think there's huge potential in doing stuff like this, and there's it's growing in places where people are becoming more aware of these situations. Like the more people are dying from suicide, or people are making celebrities are going broke, and like crazy things are happening. It's like we need to find out the root causes and have these conversations before these things are happening.
It's just crazy though, because you brought up how it was like seeing people open up that typically might not. But I think for me, the best thing that I took away from the entire experience was seeing. It kind of made me feel a little bit more relieved about future generations. Because I feel like as millennials, we're the ones that got to experience a bit of both. Like we're not so old school, but we saw life before the internet and after. But I think our generation is starting to get it. Like we're talking more about things that we know could very well affect our kids and children.
They will, they actually will.
If we don't make any changes. So it was cool to see all these people that are typically like stoic and calm just be like, yo, I'm going through this, let me talk about it. And a lot of people were, I don't want to call it oversharing. What I mean is like they would raise their hand to talk, and then I don't think they
Like now that the
realized.
floodgates open. They're
Yeah,
like,
it's like
so
they
much
didn't
to
realize
say.
that like 5-10 minutes had gone by, and no, I had no issue with
Yeah.
it. I don't think anyone did. It just meant
That
that
shows people have been waiting to speak.
exactly right.
This they need to feel comfortable to speak.
Exactly
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the people that were shy were like, okay, I'm shy, but anyway, so it's like
they're like, you excuse me, I'm awkward on the mic.
Yeah,
but,
and then just like
you
a
sure?
whole, a whole speech. It's
Yeah.
like so. No, it was definitely a good event. Transitioning real quick, it was your birthday yesterday. How do you feel about that? You feel older? You feel smarter? You feel wiser? You feel the same?
I feel good. It's like I don't know if it's because as you get older, it almost comes across as just another day, but
I feel like you celebrate the 5-year marks when you get older.
Yeah,
Like the 25s,
20,
the 30s,
25,
35s.
Like I know
Stuff in the middle is kind of like 32.
Yeah,
35,
I know when I
like,
turn 30, I don't know if I'm gonna do something big, but it's gonna be another because it's the start of a new decade for me, right?
That's me this year.
Yeah,
Damn.
and it's your champagne birthday,
Champagne,
30th on the 30th,
on the 30th
right?
is gonna be. Yeah, no, for sure.
But overall, I felt good. Like I felt good. I was just happy I got a lot of things accomplished that I wanted to. And
this time last year on your birthday, what is different in terms of your mindset? Because I remember when I turned 29, I was like, all right, 29, like this is what I'm gonna do for 29, blah blah. Like, and then now I'm turning 30. I'm like, all right, 30.
Yeah,
I'm a lot slower.
Yeah,
my pace is like now I'm turning 30. I'm just like, okay, it's less excitement. It's more like tactical.
Yeah,
more planning, more strategic.
Yeah,
like 29 was excitement. It's like, yo, 29. I just quit my job last year. Like, just go. And now it's like 30. Chill out, smarter moves, calmer. Like less is more now. Is my mantra. Like,
I think for me, well, what's different is just my focus and like things that I was focused on. I'm very open about it. Like since my brother passed, like my mentality switched in terms of type of work I do, like how I approach work, and things that I just do, like how I communicate with people, all these things. So in terms of what's changed, my relationships with people, I try my best to be more aware of what like some of my friends are going through, not just some like even a drastic case, like mentally and all that. It's just you're like, yo, like how's it going with this gig, like this job, like that type of. I'm trying to be a bit more aware of stuff like that. But moving forward this year, I think the next 2 years, because that's when I'll be turning 30. But the next year is like it's more of a. I think it's similar, like lock in more tactical way that I approach things now. Right? I don't, and you and I have talked about it, right? There are a lot of people who on social media are out here projecting everything that they're doing. And I feel like that was me like 2-3 years ago when I first started freelancing, right? Because I had to like let people know I was doing work in order to get more work. And it would be very, very easy for you and I to still be doing that. And we could probably do that in our sleep. That being said, I would have just much rather lock in and be very precise with my movements and then just show you when the time is right. I was planning Elevate for like 4 months. I didn't start promoting it until like a month out. And even then, I was just like, look, you and I are very similar. I didn't beg people to show up. It was like, this is the work. This is what it's going to be. Come out if you want. And I think the amount of people that showed up speaks volumes to that mentality we have, right? Yeah. I didn't do it for clout. We don't do anything. All the things that we do, we don't do it for clout, right? Like, I'm not trying to impress people or any of these things. We just do it. And so that's how I think I'm changing moving forward.
So I saw your. Oh yeah, before you say something, I saw your. I wasn't able to come out to you. You had a surprise party. I wasn't able to come out to you, but I saw your cake said 29th birthday. Whose era was that?
It wasn't an era. It was a joke. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was a joke. Like
okay.
Yeah, no, it was a joke.
So I was like,
yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say to you, like, do you ever think? Okay, I've had people say to me a lot. They're like, "Zamor, you do a lot." Right? And they say, because when I tell them like what I'm doing, blah, 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 they're like, oh, you do a lot. And I'm sure you've probably gotten that too, right? When people say that to you, do you ever not take it in a weird way, but think it's a weird statement? They're like, oh, you do a lot. And you're just like, I guess. Like, it doesn't, I know that I'm doing a lot, but it doesn't feel like it. You know what I mean? It just feels like I'm supposed to be doing this.
Right.
Because if I wasn't, I feel like I'd probably fill it with other things to do. But I don't know like how else I'm not supposed to do a lot.
I mean, it's a capacity issue, right? Some people, like I've talked about this before with relationships.
Yeah.
Like, I would find myself getting frustrated with women I was with because I set my capacity for myself on them, right? So like, this is what I can handle, whatever level this is. It might be a high level of doing a bunch of stuff at this level.
Yeah.
And to me, because I'm so used to it, you just said some people, oh, that's a lot. It's like, to them, it is a lot.
Yeah.
To you, I'm like, well, I am doing many things. A lot is a phrase of excessiveness, right? Which means you feel overwhelmed or feel like it's beyond reach. Like a lot, some of the things like that's a lot. Like it's always like a negative, like, oh wow, like that's too much, right? So I'll never look at the stuff I'm doing as a lot. I'll look at the stuff I'm doing as I'm doing many things. I have a lot of, like I have many tasks that I do, but a lot is like I'm not burdened by it. But if someone feels like you're doing a lot, that means what they view what you're doing is beyond their capacity in their mind. Right? So me getting mad, not mad, but me getting frustrated or bothered when someone isn't capable of doing the same capacity as me, I had to learn that that's not fair. Right? Because it's like, to them, they think what I'm doing is a lot. To me, I'm like, this is normal. But then in the flip side, to me, what I think they're doing is nothing. Right? Which to them may be a lot, or maybe their capacity.
Like you said, it's capacity issue.
So it's like, we have to stop comparing, right? Like, and just find what works and what you like. Because if you're viewing what someone else is doing is not that much, you're always going to view it that way. You either
there's never going to be a time where you then change your mind and be like, actually you're doing
like,
a lot.
To you, that is how you view it is that limit, and you're like, if you're okay viewing it that way forever, and you're like, you know what, like I don't feel like a person's doing that much, but I don't really care, then okay. But if that is something that bothers you, you can't be with that person. And vice versa, if they feel like, wow, that person's doing way too much for me to even compete with, it's like, if that insecurity is not good for you to have either. If you're viewing your partner as like, wow, they do way too much, like that works against you, because now you're always gonna feel inadequate, right? So you have to find someone where you view their work, you're like, yo, like you're doing some really good things, and it seems like it's at a level where I'm actually, proud of, like versus like, I wish you did more. Like once you have that feeling of like, I wish that person did more, even though they can't, for what they're capable of, you feel like I wish they did more means what you're looking for isn't that person. Right?
And then you start to nitpick and like figuring out, okay, you're not doing that much, so why aren't you doing this? Or why aren't you doing this in our relationship?
Well, who are you to tell them what to do with their time?
Exactly.
Right? And it's a tough battle, but a lot of people get into those things where like, you see Twitter all the time where girls are talking about, oh, like, these guys don't do anything, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. It's like, yeah, but what you are expecting him or expecting of a man doesn't match with what he views himself as himself. And that's not fair to be like, oh, he doesn't do anything. 'Cause he may be doing a lot of things, just not what you think or what you deem as something isn't lining up. But he might be, training kids on the side, going to schools on the weekends, doing this, and that's fitting his capacity. But to you, you're like, the numbers aren't adding up. He barely makes any money, so he doesn't do anything. To you, right? So it's unfair, but that kind of ties into the topic about compromise I wanted to ask you about. So I have my perspective on this. I'll share it after yours, because my perspective either will probably be the same, but most likely would be different than yours. So what is your take on the term compromise in relationships, and do you believe in compromise?
Okay, so I think in a relationship you don't always have to agree on everything, but you should be able to come to like common ground on understandings, right? So I might disagree with you on an issue, but it should be okay that we disagree on this. That disagreement shouldn't become the basis of why the rest of our relationship won't work. Because I think when people get into relationships, they think that now you and I are one person, one mind. It's like everything we do has to be the same. It's like,
you just mesh two different lives together.
Yeah, that's just literally all we did. Like, I took my life and your life, we shoved them together, and hopefully it works out. In terms of compromise, I definitely think I truthfully think there's a time and place for it. But I think when you know in your gut, when you should not be compromising on something, because it will, funny enough, compromise the rest of your relationship, right? So I'm trying to think of an example, but okay. I think this is a common one a lot of guys used to deal with, right? It's like, okay, guy who has a lot of friends that are women, right? If the partner you end up dating has an issue with the fact that you have a lot of female friends, and their argument is like, look, this makes me uncomfortable. I'd prefer if like you wouldn't hang out with them as much, or I don't have to get into details. But you know
they want to reduce the number of occurrences
right?
around these people.
So the compromise in that situation is, okay, I'm gonna step back from these relationships I have with my female friends because I want your feelings
to be met.
Right? You can definitely do that, but I'm telling you that if you do, it will cause problems in the relationship because someone is going to end up having resentment, most likely you, for having to get rid of friends that you're already friends with. And that resentment is going to turn into you not liking your girlfriend as much. And it's just going to feed into a lot of other things in the relationship. So bottom line is, for me, I think compromise has a time and place, but you got to listen to your gut. Like, your gut does not lie when it comes to the topic of compromising on certain things. Like, if someone asks you to do something and you immediately, or even within a few seconds, you're not like, yeah, okay, I can actually do that. Just don't compromise because it's going to cause a problem.
So, funny enough, we've been around each other long enough that I share most of those sentiments. So I will boldly say I do not believe in compromise at all. Okay. And this is why. I'll explain it. You may agree with me later once I've explained it in full. But this was a conversation I had recently. And after having this conversation, the person understood. And maybe you guys will understand as well. Or maybe you'll agree, disagree. It doesn't really matter. I don't believe in it. This is why I don't believe in compromise. Because what I do believe in, I'll start with that, is what I do believe in is similar to what you said, is understanding people's personalities. Understanding that you have now meshed two entirely different people together and forced them into one relationship. Understanding that you are going to disagree with certain things because you have different values, different likes and interests. If you like, people like to say, "Oh, I understand my partner." Like, but if you actually understand that you're different, versus just saying like, "No, like I get that." Like, no, if you really understand, like, then a lot of problems wouldn't exist. Because problems exist because you actually don't really understand that you are really different. You understand? You haven't really accepted it, because accepting it would mean that, like, okay, this is a situation I like, a situation they don't like. Why don't they like this? Well, they don't like it because they're different than me. Like, not because I need them to like it. It's like, no, like, I genuinely understand this person is different than me because they're going to be different than me.
Can I give you an example after?
Go. Yeah, I'll give you an example after. So if you actually understand that people are really different and accept that, because a lot of people don't really actually accept it, once you accept that, a lot of issues will decrease. That's one. Now, I don't believe in compromise because the actual situation and the reality of what compromise is one person saying, I don't like this, change it. Like, that is what someone wants to compromise because I don't like something. Or, flip side, I like this, I want you to do this, right? Those are the two things. Someone doesn't like your current ability to do something, either want you to start doing something or want you to stop doing something. And the goal is to come in the middle. Like, people always say,
it's an exchange for something, though, right?
It's always
like,
an
I don't like that you do this, change it, and I'll do that.
Not always. It's not always, and then I'll do. Sometimes just like, I just don't want you to do this. Can you meet me in the middle? That's usually what the basis is. And then you'll use that in the future. It's like, well, because I did this for you, Now I need you to compromise with this for my
Yeah.
situation. So the problem with compromise in my perspective is that, one, where does it stop? And two, if you're gonna compromise a relationship and you believe in compromise, you're not allowed to have non-negotiables then. And that is my biggest argument. Because you can't say I believe in compromise and then have a non-negotiable. And the reason I say that is because if you believe in compromise, then you should essentially believe that anything can be compromised.
Yeah.
Like in any situation that you dislike or I dislike,
that's a
we
really good
should
point,
definitely
yeah.
be able to compromise. Anything. Because you can't pick and choose when you want to apply the term of compromise. If you believe in compromise relationship, then we should always be able to compromise in any situation.
Yeah.
But women and men will have their non-negotiables. Quick non-negotiable will clearly be cheating, let's say. A quick non-negotiable which clearly be, not having a job. Like, we all have our personal non-negotiable. I can't be with someone that has a job. Like, I can't be. But if you believe in compromise so much, then we should be able to find a place in the middle. If you believe in compromise so much, then, me cheating, yeah, you don't like it and you hate it, but
I see what you're saying.
where can we meet in the middle where it's like, can I cheat a little bit?
I see what
like,
you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
I never ever thought of it this, like the way you explained it makes perfect sense because compromising basically contradicts a non-negotiable.
It contradicts it immediately.
Yeah.
You can't say I believe in compromise, but they're not. You can definitely not do this though. They say, yeah, but like you want me to stop being with all these girls because you don't like how it makes you feel, right? Yeah, I want you to be in the middle. But you're saying I definitely can't do this though. Like never. Why can't I find a place in the middle where we can kind of why can't we talk about this though? No, these things over here, these are definitely no-nos.
Yeah.
But these things we can talk about these in compromise. It's like that's not allowed if you believe in that. So I don't believe in compromise. I believe in understanding the person and coming to an agreement. Because like you said, if someone starts doing something to please you and doesn't intrinsically want to do this, it leads to resentment immediately. Because now you have to constantly think not to or to do certain things just to navigate and function in a relationship, which is unhealthy. So I generally do not believe in compromise. What I do believe in is like, if you do reach a thing that you do not like, which is gonna happen, you're gonna meet a girl and meet the guy, I don't like that you dress a certain way. Well, I don't like that, you talk to so many girls or whatever the case may be. You now, whatever the situation is, let's say for you, let's say if the girl situation is dressing, let's say, her man doesn't like that she's dressing so scandalous, let's just say. Even though you can wear what you want, let's just say your man's really like, I don't know, like I'm kind of uncomfortable with that. This is not a compromise thing. You have to now, on your own as a woman, be like, okay, my man doesn't like this. I love dressing the way I dress. Okay, but I know my man doesn't like this, and I really do value my man, and I really feel like he brings a lot to my life. That, you know what am I benefiting? Like, I like wearing these stuff, or I like doing these things, but like, I really just like it because I just enjoy doing it. But I'm not gonna do this for him. I generally want to not wear scandalous things anymore for myself. Because I'm like, you know what? I don't really have to as much anymore. Plus, it also benefits him because I know he doesn't really like it. So I have to choose.
Yeah, so the difference is, because I know some people hearing that will say, well, that's compromise. The difference, the difference is that person genuinely and intrinsically is coming from them internally, right? Because you're right. Like typically if someone's asking you to compromise, it now means that you have to start actively and consciously changing your mentality about it.
For them.
And look, I think the thing is, I do believe that compromising works for some people in some relationships, whether it's like actually like a loving one or work-wise, it works. But the way that you've outlined it makes a ton of sense, right? Because you're right. Like the biggest thing is if it doesn't come from me intrinsically, it means that at some point, like that's not going to change my behavior. No. You know what I'm saying? Like your desire is not going to leave. It takes so long for like a new bet. I don't remember, like I don't know. I couldn't tell you when I started something and then it became a new behavior because it just happens. Yeah. Right? Like, you understand how crazy that is?
Yeah.
So for someone to say to you, I don't like that you do this particular thing, it's like, okay. In your head, most people go to the room of compromise because they say, look, I only want to do this because I love my partner so much.
And that's lethal. That is lethal.
I think the challenge with this though is people have to, like you said, the problem starts with them not understanding that we're very different people, because in the conversation of compromise, people often say things, well, like, if that were me, I wouldn't do this. And it's like,
you're not.
It's very different people. So you have to understand that from the jump. And see, like, this is my thing now, right? Like, I'm at a point in my life where it doesn't matter the type of relationship. I'm like way more upfront about who Zamora is, right? So they understand the picture from the jump. Mm-hmm. It's like, listen, I act this way and I do this because of this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. And I'm letting you know this because this is my demeanor. Mm-hmm. This is why the way that I am. Like, if you don't like that I'm so nonchalant, go find someone that's not nonchalant.
Don't come in and try and change that.
Like,
please.
Like, I can love you as a friend, as a partner. I can genuinely love or like you as a person, mm-hmm. right? But if you know that my nonchalantness bothers you, or my attitude, whatever you want to call it, if you know that it bothers you, I'm begging you, just don't try to continue this with me.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
And that's a hard conversation for a lot of people to have, but I promise you, if you have it, it'll probably make you a lot happier in the long run.
And the other thing, just to add on to that, I think one of the most dangerous phrases that I've heard so many times, and I'm sure you've probably heard at times, or other people have heard at times, is when someone throws love and if in the same sentence. In the phrase of, if you love me, you would do something.
It's like, yeah, I love you, but like, it doesn't mean...
Loving and doing a particular task are not synonymous.
Yeah.
You don't do or not do certain things because you don't love that person. And people labeling that as such for you is unfair. Someone saying, because if you aren't gonna do this for me, there's no way you love me. That actually makes no sense.
It's crazy. Like, it's crazy because in terms of the topic of, like, love in general is insane. Like,
it can't be quantified.
It's an insane concept. Like, I'm not saying that to say that I don't believe in it.
No.
But it's genuinely an insane concept if you think about it. We're the only things on this planet that has the capacity to love the way that we do. And think about the fact that you have parents, right? Let's just say you're in a situation where your parents are either in your lives or you just have a decent or good enough relationship with them, whether they're separated or not. And you then meet someone new in your life, like a new partner, a new girl, a new man, or whatever. And at some point, someone is like, yo, like, our love needs to be higher than the love that you have for someone, let's say your parents, right? Because now I'm gonna be the person you start a new family with,
right?
And I get it, but do you understand how insane that is at the same time?
Is it higher or is it different? Do you want your love differently?
You know that there are some people out there that would argue higher, because I don't care what type of relationship you have your mom. I'm the only woman that needs it.
No, I get it.
So that's a thing, right? That's a thing. So I agree with you. It can be higher or it can be different. But it's still an insane concept to think about. So when people are out here using love tactically in an argument, sometimes I don't think they realize, because it's so coded in our language, right? We see it in TV, we see it on the internet. If you love me, you'll do this. If you don't love me, like, look, I can love you to the moon and the back. I'm just not okay with that. I'm just not okay with doing that.
That's fine. Like, it should be fine.
It should be fine. It should be fine. And I wonder if this is another part of coded language that I use, but it's like, look, I can love you to the moon and back. I'm not okay with that. And a part of my brain is thinking, it's like, yo, I do all these other things, right? I show my actions through all these other ways. I do all these other things. That should let you know, like, how much I love you. But
the thing is, you can't do that either.
Exactly.
Right? Because now you're basically deeming what you're doing.
Exactly. And it goes back
to be,
It goes back to the conversation of it can't be quantified, right?
It can't.
If you don't learn to love someone, if you don't want to love someone the way they like to be loved, it's just doomed to not work out.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like the only way stuff can work out just from the jump is just be like, yo, I am this way. How are you? Are you this way? Am I cool? Like it almost seems transactional.
But you have to line it up.
Yeah.
You literally have to make the alignment of like like as crazy it may sound, when you're talking to someone or dating someone and talking to someone new, whatever, try as like the best you can is to make as many like situational examples as possible. And like it sounds silly, but it might actually make your relationship stronger
you know the problem,
by being like, hey, like if I don't know, we're at a restaurant one day and a girl can talk to me like, would that trip you out? Like, or if I, go somewhere with a bunch of girls I've known for years come and hug me, like, do you have a problem with girls hugging me? Like, just literally like normal stuff that may actually happen or things that you already know typically happen every day. Like, this stuff kind of happens with me. Like, what do you think about that? Problem with that though is in the talking stages, people say things, right? And then
it's one thing to say it, and it's another thing for me to like see it.
So it's tough.
It's super, super tough, man. But okay, we next topic that we have to talk about. We were gonna talk about Love is Blind. We still can. We have time, but we need to talk about this virus. And the reason why I say this is because I literally got an email while we were talking from Air Canada. Okay. Not talking about canceling flights, none of that. They're just basically saying, they're like, what we can do, like all these types of things. And I feel like we need to talk about this, right? Because now I feel like the conversation has shifted into many different places. What's your opinion? What's your opinion on everything going on?
So I've been following it since the jump, since it first came out, and I guess the latter of last year to now. And it is bad. Yes, there are bad things happening. Italy apparently just shut down to kind of like keep stuff, stable, and the stock market just crashed. I just lost some money a couple days ago.
Can I tell you something real quick about that? After you and I had the discussion at my event about the money that you lost, which wasn't like a significant amount, but money lost, right? I saw how much money the richest people in the world lost.
Bro, man lost 17 bill.
I was like, how much money
Jeff
did Elon?
Bezos lost 17 bill in stocks.
It's gone.
17 billion. Yo. Like big money is big losses,
but you know what was crazy? Because you and I were talking about this. I was like, okay, it's like you lost like 47% of how much you put in. And I was like, oh, that means it's the same amount for these like rich people.
The same gap.
But I said that so casually without seeing the numbers.
Like in big money.
I literally was looking at my phone and I was like, whoa. Like,
bro.
People were losing billions. Imagine being those people.
Hurting.
I think they might know something.
I mean, they're also probably used to it. Like
they definitely are.
To us, it's like that's crazy. I think to them, like it's still like they're still not like, oh, that's great. But I'm sure
the man's woke up on a Monday and lost 17 billion, and he just gotta keep his company moving. He's like, all right, let's go.
But yeah, no, go on. Yeah, sorry.
No, you were telling me your opinion.
So like things are happening clearly. China has such an impact on the world that if things go wrong in China, it ripples throughout the entire world. And it clearly is showing with the stocks, gases, prices, transportation, all these things are being affected. Now, like any other sickness or virus that we've had in this world, Corona is bad. There are deaths like most of the big viruses, but the problem is, it's not a problem, but it's also a difference compared to the other ones. Is that social media has allowed people to have real time of everything happening. And when you overpopulate, when you oversaturate, people with information, it will drive people crazy. Like it's like when people get sick and they go on WebMD and then now they think they have AIDS. You know what I'm saying? Like once you start going down the path of oversaturated information, you will find things to fit a narrative, right? I am not saying it's not a big deal. I'm not saying I wear a mask on the plane, so I'm still taking precautions because especially if I'm traveling. I travel a lot. Like you don't know who's around you. But at the same time, it's not so much that you should be changing your daily activities so drastically. You should already be washing your hands. You should already be using sanitizer. You should already be clean. You should already be covering your mouth. These things, like, to start doing these things would be insinuating that you haven't been, and and if that's the case, yeah, you're probably getting normal colds more than than regular people, right? But the deaths and all the stuff that's happening, like, I would literally say just be precautious because it does exist. Take the steps you can to make sure you're clean, but you know it's not a point where the world cannot function. Right? You can't stop this. It's gonna run its course. People are gonna get sick. The amount of people who get sick will start to decrease because that is what happens. And getting sick doesn't necessarily mean death either. Like the people, I think the last number I was checking in China was like up to 80,000 people were quarantined, and like maybe 3,900 people have been infected. But there's been like maybe a few hundred deaths or so. So like, if you get infected, I hope you don't, but if you do, it doesn't mean death. Like it's like they're really pushing this like death narrative that people are panicking, and it's a little like getting sick is a normal thing of being human. Right?
Yeah, like whenever there's a new disease or virus, whatever you want to call it, it's part of the course. Like people will get sick because it's brand new. If some new virus comes out tomorrow that no one's ever seen before, it's gonna affect us all in different ways. So feeding off of what you're saying, yes, I 100% agree that people need to exercise a little bit more precaution in terms of, sanitary stuff, what they do, what they touch, all those things you should already be doing, just like Ryan said. My biggest thing about this entire virus is that at no point do I think people should be taking it lightly. But I think, as you said, because of social media, it's caused people to lose themselves a little bit to a point where, people are straight up looking at certain people like, yo, I gotta avoid this group of people because I don't want to get sick from them, right? And I've seen people talk about on Twitter about how, Chinese restaurants, all that type of stuff, losing business because people just don't want to go to
the fear, panic.
Straight up fear, right? And I'm like,
and that business might be completely fine. Yeah, it most likely is.
It probably is, and I'm like, that business now probably isn't fine because they just lost all their customers because people straight up are being like a little racist about it, right?
It's definitely pushing racism.
It is.
That's a fact.
It is, right? And like people don't want to say it, but it truthfully is. And we were talking about this before, right? Social media has like destroyed people's mentality in a lot of things, right? So, prime example, the other day I retweeted this thing where this guy was being held by like an undercover cop. I don't know if you saw that video,
it's terrible.
Right? So
ridiculous.
Long story short, a guy was held by an undercover cop. The guy being held had his hands up, kept asking the cop, like, hey, what did I do wrong? He wasn't being aggressive whatsoever. A bunch of cops came over after.
Sprinted at him. Not just came over.
Yeah, they sprinted towards him. Mind you, it was one guy, an undercover cop holding him, and then there was literally like 10 cops who ran up on him, threw him to the ground, and this guy is like screaming, basically saying like, what did I do? I didn't do anything wrong. And I saw this, and like straight up, it affected my mental health in a way where I was like, yo, like, it's good. Okay, on one side, it's good to see things going on around the world because it brings awareness. But on the flip side, it's like, yo, it's not good for me to see all these things constantly happening because now it creates different narratives in my head where it's like, yo, is this happening all the time to people? Like, is this happening? Will this happen to me all the time? It's going to create some level of fear within myself.
Panic and skew,
right?
Definitely.
So then equating this to the virus, right? I said before, there have been far more deadlier viruses than the coronavirus, right? By no means does that mean that this virus is not to be taken lightly. It should not by any means. Like, I have to make that perfectly clear. But I brought up Ebola and the Zika virus, right? Zika virus was not as bad as corona. But I remember when that came out, people were almost making jokes about both those viruses. Like people were like, "Oh, I'm sick. I got Ebola." Like those. But if you had Ebola, it meant you were gonna die.
But people making jokes. It was funny. It was funny.
Like you were going to die if you had Ebola. I remember it was like, it was reported like there was a case of Ebola in Canada at one point. It was nowhere near as serious.
Yeah, taken as serious.
Taking it serious. Like if someone today says there's been a reported case of corona in Toronto, like people are gonna lose their minds. Yeah. But if it was Ebola, no, people are chilling. People are chilling. They're like, okay, bless. I'm good. And my thing is, social media like has a part to play in this, right? Because you really have to do is step back and think about what it is that you're seeing, how often you're seeing it, where you're seeing it from, because you got all these sites like Complex and Bleach, like talking about the virus when none of these people are actually, they're not medical professionals. They can't, why are they talking about this?
They're just regurgitating information.
I saw this soccer coach, the coach of Liverpool, they were asking him about the virus.
Where does he know?
And he straight up said, he literally looked at the report, he's like, I think we should leave this to the medical professionals. He's like, I don't understand why people are asking a soccer coach about this. He's like, why? Like, I don't know anything. Like, I just coach the team. Yes, I understand there's going to be thousands of people coming to these games and all this type of stuff. I understand that narrative, but I don't control this. Like, I just coach my team, I bring it to the game. That's it. So I think people just need to start understanding, like, yo, like, just be a little bit more sanitary than you usually are, hopefully, and try not to let certain things pretty much ruin your day and your mentality about it.
I mean, I understand, and the countries are doing what they can to kind of, you know, neutralize this the best they can. I'm working with an athlete that's training to go to the Olympics in Tokyo, and I was following up on that information because I was like, oh, I wonder how that's going to affect the Olympics, and apparently they may be postponing that. Granted, the Olympics would be huge, and you'll have a lot of people from Tokyo, Japan, and
they've already shut down a bunch of major tech conferences.
So it's like I get that. They're not, and you have to understand they're not potentially shutting down the Olympics or postponing it because they're scared that the virus is going to kill people. They're doing it because the best business decision is like, you don't want to have an Olympic Games during a pandemic. It's not a good business move, right? That's what this is about. The stocks plunging, all these stuff, these are all business moves. Like, the sickness is going to come and go, it's going to do its thing, but how it's affecting the economy is what is the big picture. Things are crashing, people are losing jobs, like all these stuff, the ripple effect of it. So it's, you can't have one without the other. The pandemic's there, but you have to be aware of the business side of any type of pandemic, any type of virus, any type of, you know, sickness or gun control laws, all that kind of stuff. It's all relative.
Yeah, like you said, bottom line, people just need to be a little bit more focused on what it is that they're doing and their surroundings, but it doesn't mean taking it to an extreme level.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Like I can't not think about some of these things because, for example, like I want to go to Carnival in Jamaica next month. And I have to actually think about the fact that it's like, yo, is Air Canada gonna, or whoever flight I take, are they gonna say, we're not like gonna be flying this month? Because they've done that in some places, right? I have to think about it. So obviously it affects my life. The flip side of it, I'm just like, yo, Jamaica's an island. I don't know what virus is getting out there. And I'm just saying, like, none of us have been affected by this virus yet. So
they said, honestly, I also heard that high heat places are apparently not as susceptible.
Because you know, but you know what's funny though? They said like CNN was going off because
the Africa thing.
But then it was like Africa had its first case reported. It was in Egypt, but it was a German man. It was a German man in Egypt. I'm like, shut up. Like,
a German man in Egypt.
I'm like, Africa didn't have its first case then. Stop it. Leave Africa alone.
You want to recap Love is Blind real quick for those who have watched it?
Yeah.
So Love is Blind is a Netflix TV series that recently came out. I hated to watch it and loved to hate it at the same time, because it basically essentially have a test that they wanted to run with some people, essentially to prove if love is really blind. Really cool concept, I'm not gonna lie. The people they used were kind of frustrating to watch, but the concept itself is very interesting. You basically they put people in the room, a series of people, men and women. They kind of do speed dating rounds for a couple days, but they never get to see each other. They just get room to room to room and just having conversations, just nonstop conversations. Have no idea who these people what these people look like, just the voices, and they take notes of each other. Okay, this was John, this was Brenda, John like this, Brenda like this, and they just keep notes. And they kind of tie it down to the people they like, the favorite, and so on and so forth. Now, as the show goes on, they end up seeing each other, and the only way to get out of these rooms, they have to propose to somebody, right? So who they propose to, they're proposing off just the voice and personality.
Yeah.
When they see them, now they have the opportunity to be like, okay, now you've seen this person, do you still feel the same way as you felt when you proposed?
Which actually sounds like it actually is a kind of cool concept.
It is a cool concept.
It's a sick concept.
It's a very sick concept. So after you talk to someone for days and days and days, and you propose to them, which is crazy to propose after a couple of days, but hey, that was the point of the show. So
they knew the deal.
They did it. That was the point. They knew the deal. So they propose. When you see that person, now you have the looks involved. Now you look at a person, you look at her up and down, you're like, do you still feel that same way? And and everyone said, yeah, perfect. Now, the issue with this show is they threw in some wrenches, which is pretty cool, which I actually started to enjoy. Because you speed dated with all these people, you speed date with all the people that also are now chosen or linked up with each other, but now you all get to see each other. And now you add the social media aspect to it, which social media in real life, essentially, where it's like, you have your partner, but now you see all this, and it's also accessible. So it kind of tested the relationship.
Yeah, Jessica lost her damn mind.
Hey, what was your what are your thoughts on the concept of the show was great.
Did you watch the reunion episode?
At the end?
Yeah. You didn't see the reunion episode?
The reunion. What do you mean?
So the season finished.
Yeah.
And they added another episode where they all got back together, talking about like what's happening. Because the show was filmed a year ago.
Oh yeah, it's old, right?
It's old. It was filmed a year ago.
Okay, I'm gonna watch the reunion. I gotta watch the reunion.
Oh,
okay.
bro.
Damn.
You gotta watch that.
No, okay.
You gotta watch that because there's some things come up, bro.
Okay,
you have to watch that.
Okay, you can't ruin it. My bad.
But okay, so my opinion, I think the concept is super sick, just like you said. Like the thing about reality TV shows, they're so garbage, but sometimes they're really just they're like brain dead TV.
Yeah.
You watch it and like
can't stop.
Let me watch these people mess up their lives. You know, like let me see these people ruin their lives. But I thought it was look. I think it's off rip. People were just saying, "Yo, this is actually super wild." I don't understand how you can get engaged to someone. But when I listened to interviews and read articles afterwards, some of these guys were saying they're like, "Yo, you have to understand. We were in these pods for like 10 days." Talking to different women, and that's literally all we could do.
Yeah.
So guys were like, yo, sometimes I would talk to a girl for like 8 hours straight.
Yeah, because we only see a snippet of it.
Yeah, when we're watching this, we're only seeing like them talk for 5 minutes, maybe 2.
You might be in that room like, yo, you good stuff?
Yeah. But it's like, yo, like sometimes we be talking to girls for like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day. And that's just for one girl, and I still have to talk to like 12 of them. So if that's all I'm doing, I have no social media. I can't leave. I can't go anywhere.
Nothing.
Of course, my mind is only consumed with this person. So if you ask me, who would I propose to?
I'm gonna give you someone.
After 10 days, I'm gonna tell you who I would. Right? So I thought, when you take it like that, it makes sense.
You put me in jail with a girl for days.
Right? Like, of course.
Okay, I love you.
I'm gonna pick one.
I love you. Okay? Get me out of here. Get me out of here. I love you.
Please say
But
yes.
do you really love her? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Will you marry her? Yes. What do I have to say to get my phone back?
Yeah. How many men do you think just really want to get their phone back?
Like,
that's all they wanted to do.
Let's go to the beach. I don't care.
Which is crazy, because then after that, they get back together, they see all the other people they could have been with, and And
that would have been problematic for me. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I know it would. How many?
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Right? How many times have how many times have we talked about
You
reality
picked the
TV
wrong
shows?
one.
How many times have we talked about reality TV shows? And I said to you, I would pay money to see Ryan on this show. Like I really would. It'd be so entertaining.
That part when they told them like, yeah, you get to see everybody else you talk to, I would have been like, oh man. I would have had my fiance right beside me like.
That's the thing. Like after you see your fiance, there's time in between that where you can basically say, "Nah, this isn't gonna work."
Yeah.
Right. You can do that.
Yeah.
But some of these people, I think
they fought it.
They're like, you know what? I'm in this. Like I'm locked in.
Yeah.
Right. There's only one couple on the show that was like, they were about it.
Yeah,
you don't watch a reunion, but they were about it, and it was wild. But it was funny. I listened to the producers of the show, and they were saying that. They were like, yo, we only anticipated to have like 2 or 3 couples.
Like real weddings.
Yeah, we only anticipated for 2. And then we ended up having 7.
Yeah.
So
they had to adjust the show kind of thing?
Yeah, because if you notice, there were a bunch of other mans on the show that like you see them and then you never see them again.
Oh, you don't get all the conversations.
Yeah.
But
they all got engaged.
You had to fast forward it because you're like,
they all got engaged.
We can't do all of it.
Yeah, there were other guys on the show. Like there was a dude on the show who I thought was straight up an actor.
I've barely seen him.
Yeah, he was like standing like straight up just asking, what's the name of the dude that was with Giannina, the Hispanic chick?
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
There was a guy who just straight up was asking him questions, or Barnett.
Yeah.
He was asking Barnett questions like, so what do you think of Jessica? Like, what do you think of...
In the room, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never seen this guy.
I'm like, I've never seen this guy again. So I
remember the same thing.
I thought he was planted to just like feed Barnett. Like,
I remember, yeah.
I'm like, yo, this guy's
When
slick.
he came back to the room, I'm like, when did you see Jessica? You never even talked to her.
Right? But he was never in the show. And then it turns out he's like, yo, I'm fully married now to like one of the women. I'm like, okay, sick.
Yeah.
But the producer was just like,
they didn't expect that many people to
they're like, we just have to pick the 6 wildest ones and then go from there.
Yeah.
So
No,
it was overall it was a good show. I will watch a season 2.
I would watch it again with a different cast, a different group of people.
100%.
Cast. These are real people's lives.
Real people. Like,
different cast.
Like I was watching the show and I was saying to myself, how is Jessica gonna go back to her job?
Bro.
How is Mark? Okay, this is a big thing. Our last thing, right? This is a big thing. Just to give people context, Mark was 24 years old. Jessica was 34 years old. They knew this off the jump, right?
Off rip.
And everything Jessica said, and this goes back to everything we talked about earlier. Jessica said, I want this, I need this, I need this. And what did she do? She tried compromising.
But you knew.
She tried compromising when she saw Mark. But here's the flip side to it, right? She was messed up. Like she was a little crazy. Mark, I know he's 24, right? I know he's 24.
He's just amped.
But if I'm him,
he was just amped.
If I'm him, there's no way I can be on social media for the next like year or 2.
Oh, no way.
I can't. My mental health won't take it, bro, because like I'm watching this. I'm like, yo, Mark, I'm flaming you in person if I see you.
Like, bro, you're in the sauce.
If you're my friend,
yeah.
Imagine a Mark in our group of friends.
That roasted.
There's this man. One day I'm gonna open up Instagram. Is gonna say Mark has left the group chat.
Bro.
Because he knows it's coming.
You're chasing a girl who's been roasting you. She takes off her ring, like, come on.
She said all these crazy things when she's drunk.
Yo,
like you're like,
said, yo, Barnett's sexier than you. This guy's like, I'm sleeping on the couch.
I'm like, what? I was literally getting angry. I'm like, Mark, have some respect for yourself. I'm like, you know what upset me? You know what really upset me? When he proposes to her, and she says, no, I'm going with Barnett, right? She doesn't even say I'm going with Barnett. It's in the pods, remember? He proposed.
Oh, in the pods, yeah.
He proposes.
She burned him in the pods.
He proposes to her. She says no. So then she goes to Barnett, expecting Barnett.
And he burns her.
And Barnett burns her.
And she comes back crying.
She goes back to Mark. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, this is me. I'm like, yes, this is time for Mark to
be like, yo, get out of here.
Get out of here. Mark's talking to the camera like he's gonna do that. And then he says some wild thing like, you know, my mom always told me to respect the women that come back into your life. I was like, I'm done. I was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, she said no to you. I'm going with this guy. And then she said, you know what? I did some thinking. You know, she just went to him. She came back and said, I did some thinking and you know what? You are the one for me.
What? What?
But
What are you talking about?
You just like you literally just said you're gonna. You just said you can't be with me because you want Burnett. Yeah, but I know what I said. But you know, just some reflecting, and you're actually the one for me now.
Now?
He goes, all right.
What happened in the last day? What happened?
That's insane.
Crazy. All right.
But yes, one last thing for us to wrap up. Another topic, but a question for us. When the hell are we doing our live show? The last live show was in...
Like last summer?
Last June.
Last June? It's March now?
Last June. Man.
Why don't we plan it for June?
We could.
Let's do it for June.
We could.
We did the last one in June. Hopefully, like, the plan is to not make it a year-long difference, but
yeah,
if the last one we did was June, let's do next one in June. It's enough time to prepare, and then we go on from there.
What do you guys think?
Yeah,
let us know. Thank you guys again for tuning in to the episode Wntt TV. We could always talk forever. You guys know that. So thank you guys for tuning in every week. When you do, supporting us, supporting what we're doing. We love doing this. We can get this live show business together. We'll figure this out. Don't worry. We'll get it together. Until next week, I'm Mr. MR.KOA alongside
Top Boy.
Thank you guys for listening.
Peace.
Hello?
We need to talk.
We need to talk.
We need to talk.
We need to talk.
We need to talk.